They say the night hides more than shadows. It hides the truth.
Welcome to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where real crimes, true horrors, and restless spirits speak through the silence. Listen closely, because sometimes the whispers are real.
We all feel it sometimes. That tingle at the back of your neck, the sense you're not alone. Maybe it's the window left open a crack, the camera light that flickers for just a second too long. Or maybe it's the quiet certainty that something is watching you, waiting for you to look its way, so it can finally know that you've seen it too. Tonight, we step into the eyes of the unseen. 6 true stories, 6 encounters with the ones who never sleep, the ones who watch from the dark. I've lived on Maple Lane for over 20 years. Quiet neighborhood, families, retirees, that kind of place. If you stand on my porch at night, you can hear the wind moving through the sycamores and the distant hum of cars on the highway. For the most part, it's peaceful, predictable, until the night the lights started blinking in the house across the street. That house had been empty for as long as I could remember. Old Victorian, paint peeling, front yard overgrown with weeds that swallowed the walkway. No one ever moved in, though every few months a for sale sign would go up, stay a while, and vanish again. One night, sometime around 2 a.m., I was sitting in my living room, half asleep in front of the TV. I happened to glance out the window and saw it, a light, flickering in one of the upstairs rooms. Not a normal light, it blinked in rhythm. I almost laughed to myself, probably faulty wiring, or kids messing around, but the pattern was deliberate. 3 short flashes, pause, 2 long, pause, 1 short. Then it stopped, and for reasons I can't explain, my heart started pounding. The next night, I watched again, same time, same room. The light came back, but this time it blinked differently. Steady, even beats, about 1 per second. I counted out of habit, 61, 62, 63, and then it stopped. I thought it was over, until I realized something unsettling. The flashes had matched exactly the rhythm of my heartbeat. After that, I couldn't stop watching. It became a nightly ritual. Every night at 2, I'd turn off my TV, open the blinds, and stare at that window. Some nights it blinked fast, others slow, but always with the same strange consistency. Once I tried an experiment. I placed my hand over my chest and breathed deep, slowing my pulse. The light slowed too. I stopped breathing for a moment, heart stuttering, and the light paused. I remember whispering into the dark, "Who are you?" Of course, no answer, just silence. And then, 2 flashes, like someone blinking back. I told my neighbor about it, old Mrs. Peters, who walks her dog at dawn. She frowned, said no one had lived in that house since the 90s. Apparently, the last owner was an electrician who died inside, heart failure. Alone, they said. That night, I sat by the window again. 2 o'clock came and went. No light, just the dark outline of the house across the street. I remember thinking maybe it was finally over, until I noticed movement behind the curtains. A shadow, slow, careful, moving like it was watching me back. The next day, I called the property manager listed on the old for sale sign. He said the house had been off the market for years. I asked if anyone had been inside recently, repairmen, inspectors, anything. He said no, the place didn't even have power connected anymore. That night, I waited. At exactly 2 a.m., the light came on again. Only this time, it wasn't blinking. It was steady, a single yellow glow, like a lamp left burning too long. I leaned forward, heart hammering, and as I watched, a shape moved closer to the window. Tall, thin, featureless in the dark. It stood there for a long moment facing my house, and then the lights started flashing again, but not randomly. It was spelling something. Short, long patterns, precise intervals. It took me a minute to realize it was Morse code. I grabbed my phone, started translating. The message was simple. I see you. I dropped the phone, pulled the blinds closed, sat there in the dark, shaking. A few minutes later, there was a soft flicker of light inside my living room, not from outside, from the corner lamp behind me. It blinked twice, paused, then twice more, and when I looked across the street again, the house was dark, completely black. The next morning, I noticed something strange on my porch. A piece of old wire, copper, frayed, coiled like it had been stripped from a wall. Taped to it was a note, yellowed and brittle. It read, "Power restored. Thank you for watching." I haven't looked out that window since, but sometimes, late at night, the lights in my house dim for just a second and come back a little slower. And in that brief moment of darkness, I swear I can feel something counting with my heartbeat from across the street. I work security for a small distribution warehouse on the outskirts of town. It's not the worst job. The pay's decent, the hours are predictable, and the quiet, well, sometimes that's the best part. My shift runs from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. 8 hours of solitude, screens, and the hum of the building breathing around me. There are 16 cameras in total, covering every inch of the lot, the loading bays and the storage aisles. Each feed plays in a little grid on the monitor wall in the control room. At night, the images take on that grainy green tint, shadows dancing where there shouldn't be movement. You stop seeing people after midnight. You start seeing patterns. It was about 2:37 a.m. on a Wednesday when I first noticed something strange. Camera 7, the one overlooking the north corridor, glitched. Static washed over it for about 2 seconds, then it snapped back. That wasn't unusual. Old wiring, temperature shifts, I'd seen it a dozen times before. But when it came back, there was something in frame. A figure, standing at the far end of the hallway just beyond the emergency exit. Not moving, not walking, just standing. At first, I thought it was one of the night workers coming in early, but the uniform didn't match. Too dark, too plain. And whoever it was, they weren't holding a badge. I reached for the intercom. "This is security. Identify yourself." No answer. I checked the other cameras. Camera 8 should have shown the same hallway from the opposite side. Empty. The figure wasn't there. Only camera 7 showed it. I switched between feeds. 7, the figure stood still. 8, nothing. 7 again. Still there, same position. No flicker, no movement. I leaned closer to the screen. The figure looked wrong, like it wasn't standing on the floor but slightly above it, a shadow without gravity. Then it moved, just its head, tilting, slowly, deliberately until it faced the camera directly. I froze. The monitor crackled, and for a split second I thought I saw a face, not clear, just pale, stretched thin, with a mouth too wide. And then, as I sat there staring, the overhead lights in the control room flickered. The monitors glowed a little brighter. When I looked back, the figure raised its hand and waved. Now, I don't scare easily. Years of night shifts teach you that most noises have an explanation. But this felt personal. I tried to check the sensor logs. No motion detected in that corridor. No door opened, no alarm triggered. Still, I grabbed my flashlight and went to check. The air down that hall was freezing. Every sound echoed longer than it should have, like the walls were hollow. When I reached the end, I turned the corner. Empty. No one there. Just the faint smell of ozone, like after a lightning strike. Back in the control room, I checked the playback. Camera 7 showed me walking down the hallway, and as I reached the far end, something appeared behind me. The figure, standing in the middle of the corridor watching me leave. It hadn't been there. I swear it hadn't. Then, as the footage played on, the figure slowly turned toward the camera, and this time I saw its face. Clearly. It was me. I sat there, frozen, staring at my own image on the screen. Same uniform, same flashlight, same expression, but my reflection, the copy of me, didn't move the same way. It stood there for almost a full minute, then smiled. A wide, stiff, impossible grin. And then the monitor went black. The next morning I told my supervisor what I'd seen. He looked at me like I was losing it, said camera 7 had been disconnected for months, faulty line, no active feed. I didn't believe him until he showed me the wiring map. Camera 7's connection was physically cut. No power, no signal. That night, I came back anyway. Habit, I guess. At 2:37, the monitors flickered, every single one. For a few seconds, all 16 feeds showed the same thing, the north corridor, and standing in the center was me. Except this time, I wasn't alone. The figure from before, the one that looked like me, stood just behind, one hand resting on my shoulder. Then, in perfect sync, both versions of me looked up at the camera, and they smiled. The footage didn't save. It never does. But every night at 2:37, I still glance at the monitors, and sometimes, for a heartbeat, camera 7 flickers back to life. When it does, I swear I can see movement in the reflection of the screen. Something behind me, waiting, watching. And sometimes, when the lights flicker, I wave back.
They say that to be seen is to exist, that the moment someone's eyes find you, the universe remembers your name again. Maybe that's why they watch. The lights in empty rooms, the shadows that move just after you stop walking, the reflections that blink when you don't. Maybe they aren't trying to frighten us. Maybe they're just afraid to be forgotten. Are you watching? Tonight, we've looked through 6 pairs of eyes. Some human, some not so much. And if you felt that familiar weight at the back of your neck, that sense that someone was standing behind you even when you knew you were alone, then maybe you weren't, because the ones who watch from the dark never really leave. They linger in the corners of our screens, in the reflections we ignore, and in the stories we tell to make sense of the moments that don't make sense at all. So the next time you feel eyes on you when you're alone in the room, don't turn around too fast. Sometimes they only stay quiet if you pretend not to see them. We see you. Until next time, stay in the light, and remember, they only watch because you still can.
You've been listening to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where every truth leaves a scar. If the story unsettled you, good. That means you were listening. Subscribe and stay close to the dark, because the next whisper might be for you.